Hello and welcome to our viewers on ASI News broadcast, bringing you the latest top news for today. NSA shared Americans' private data with Israel's military. Former NSA contractor Edward Snowden is back again. This time he's here to tell us that the NSA routinely shares data of United States citizens with Israel. This should come as no surprise to anyone, as it was previously revealed that the NSA shared citizens' information with Great Britain. The communications transferred by the NSA to Israel includes communication from Arab and Palestinian Americans who could allegedly one day become a threat. The information was transferred to a secret agency in Israel known as Unit 8200, though Snowden did not say whether or not citizens or their families were harmed in any way. We understand that both Israel and the United States signed a memorandum of understanding that outlined several transfers that took place in 2009. It's one of the biggest abuses we've seen, Snowden was quoted as saying. The data sent to Israel was done in raw form, which means the name of citizens and their personal information could have been viewed by Israel. Snowden went on to add that Unit 8200 uses the data it collects from the United States to persecute innocent Palestinians. Some of the personal data collected by Israel on these American Palestinians include their sexual orientation, money problems, infidelities, and other private matters that shouldn't have been known by the government. In the usual case, when such information is sent from one country to the other, personal information is almost always not shared, but for some reason, this was not done. What the NSA has done should be a wake-up call for all Americans, whether they have Palestinian ancestry or not. This is a clear sign that no one is safe from the assault and clutches of the NSA, and probably will never be safe even if certain reforms are put into place. If the NSA is capable of doing such things to its own people, one has to wonder how far the agency would go with folks who are outside of the United States. It's difficult to process right now, and we hope for some real change in the future. Edward Snowden is currently residing in Russia as he aims to stay one step ahead of the United States. If he should ever return home, Snowden would face serious charges and could be put to death. U.S. quietly releases 14 Pakistani detainees from Afghanistan jail. The United States has quietly released 14 Pakistani citizens from military detention in Afghanistan, where the U.S. holds its most secret cohort of detainees in its war on terrorism. The U.S. military transferred the 14 to Pakistani government custody on Saturday. It did not publicize the release, as is typical with releases from the detention center on the outskirts of Bagram Airfield, which is known formally as a detention facility in Parwan. A Pakistani human rights group instead announced the transfer and said it was the largest number of Pakistanis the U.S. has thus far released. None of the 14 Pakistanis was ever charged with a crime. The U.S. has held them in wartime detention, though it has not picked up many, perhaps most, of the non-Afghan detainees it holds in Afghanistan itself. Unlike detainees at Guantanamo Bay, the Bagram non-Afghans, mostly Pakistanis but also Yemenis, Tunisians, a Jordanian and a Russian, have no access to lawyers and judges and have minimal ability to contest their detention. The U.S. has never publicly named the non-Afghans it holds, let alone explained the circumstances of each man's detention. Saturday's release was the latest in a series of recent transfers that have reduced the non-Afghan population held at Bagram. The Justice Project Pakistan, a human rights group that has pressed the Pentagon on a detention issue that remains obscure in the U.S., counted 39 Pakistanis released within the past 10 months, most recently with 9 Pakistanis released last month. 2 Yemenis detained at Bagram, Amin al-Bakri and Fadi al-Magale, and a Kazakh, Farabi Riskolov, were also released last month. Army Lieutenant Colonel Miles Kagans, the Pentagon spokesman for detention issues, said the release was not hasty and was, quote, part of our ongoing efforts to draw down all our facilities in Afghanistan, end quote. Unless the next Afghan president signs a garrisoning agreement with the U.S., as Obama and his NATO allies urge, all NATO militaries must withdraw from the country by the end of the year. Stay with us on ASI News broadcast with all the latest news from the U.S. brought to you from the American Studies Institute from Tehran. You can also check our website at www.asipress.us. Thanks for watching.